have you or are you playing in anything?
Really? PAT tour, but
Okay, so are you currently trying to pass the PAT?
Yes.
Okay, so real big thing, we're making a distinction of what's next for this person. Could be making the high school team, could be getting ready for college, a number of different pieces. But as you all know, as we all know from being a golf professional, the PAT is a big deal. Regardless of where your skill level is or whether you should think you should pass it or you need a few attempts, the PAT is definitely a big deal. So the one thing that you're going to find a lot is if you want to ask questions about the injury, where it was in the back, was it thoracic, cervical, was it lumbar, so that's lower. You want to hear it, but I also know I'm not an expert, so I might say, like, have you seen a doctor? Are you in current PT? Like, I don't want to do anything that makes it any worse. And then I'm going to let him hit a few more. I like to see the whole gamut. I like to see the ideal shot. I like to see misses. I'm listening for contact. I'm watching the flight. And then the other thing too is he's wearing Hokas, right? So
my golf shoes are not in my car.
Right. So, which is totally fine. But as far as the Hokas are concerned, it's more for running, right? So it's heel toe. And if I see anything with his movement that has him getting too far into the toes, or he's trying to counterbalance something, I will take note of that. I mean, because that's a big shoe.
And the teacher, and then somebody can take one a little later in the lesson. So again, it's the same lesson, but we all
Yeah,
have different
I'm going to have him hit 3 or 4 more balls, and then I'm going to take some video from down line and face on. Okay, so I'm going to ask him, but I already know he's got a little bit of a high pull miss. He hits it a little bit thin on his miss hits, and there's also obviously a little bit of a block. Again, I see this, I kind of know what's going on, but it doesn't help for me to jump in and go, looks like you have this, this, and this, because then all of a sudden, it's just like, I don't want to add any more ingredients to the stew than I have to. I'm trying to make this pretty simple so that when I do go in and I do isolate what we're working on, it's pretty clear. And then that snow globe, that's actually just like completely, he's starting to settle in. And I don't react on his bad shots, right? Right at this point, I'm allowing him. Okay, so what is your preferred ball flight? High draw, okay. What's a miss? And this is kind of good. We have a lot of wind into us, so it's going to exacerbate any type of play. What seems to be the miss if you're on the course?
A thin, or that just overdraw it.
Okay. So he's got a thin overdraw. Now, because he's playing in the PAT or he's playing in events, sometimes we have it where we're protecting against. So not only do I want the concept on what he's working, I also want to see if something comes out that, since he's playing in tournaments, is there something that he's protecting against? Are you making sure? Do you have a go-to shot that would kind of clean up?
What I feel most confident is kind of like a 7% shot.
Okay.
I just feel like I really get my hands through it. Make good
So
contact.
kind of a hold-off punch.
Yeah.
Go-to. Okay. And real quick, because how would you rate your driving of the golf ball?
Well, I about had the driver yips last year.
Okay. Okay.
So, but then I bought a new driver and it's lighter shaft.
Okay.
I like it a whole lot more. So since then, my driver's been good now. So my driver's good right now.
Okay. All right. So I kind of want to uncover where it's coming from. But also, anytime that somebody has anything with like the yips or the chip yips or the putting yips, we want to uncover it, but we don't necessarily want to expose the wound. So again, we're not panicking. Driver yips is that directional or contact? Was it directional? Were you trying to hit it hard, or were you steering it?
No, it was really just duck hooks.
Duck hooks? Okay.
Every time.
Okay. All right. So that's very helpful to know. And even though you want to solve everything, right now, for me, where I am, I'm looking to correct the iron miss first, as far as seeing how we can calm down that little bit of that overdraw. And then if we have time, we may not have time, then we can take a look at the driver. Okay? So I'm going to get some videos. I want you to keep hitting. And one of the things that I learned from Ed, which I love, is it's a rating system. So I've made this mistake in the past where I've gone, oh, not a bad miss. And they're like, miss? I pured it. So I'm going to have him rate the next few. So 0 to 10 on solidness and 0 to 10 on curvature. Okay? So again, I told you I'm watching and I'm listening, but I also need to know what is good to him. It's Rob likes to say, I know what chocolate ice cream tastes like to me. I'm not sure what it tastes like to you. Okay? So we need to know, I need to get information from him. Okay? Okay. Now, one of the things which I would have covered either in an email before he got here or in a conversation, you're a good player. Have you taken lessons before?
Yeah.
Okay. And for the lessons that you liked, you connected with, what were you working on?
Well, past I'm really bad at flipping the club inside, so I've done a lot of trying to keep the club head outside of my hand.
Okay.
That's a big one, and then I was really big with early extension.
Okay.
So, what like going through impact, he wanted to see space.
Okay.
Right here.
And that's pretty much it. Not
Yeah.
okay. So this is uncovering kind of conceptually where he's coming from, what he's trying to produce. All right, as far as setup and pre-swing stuff, like everything starts pre-swing or P1. I really like the way that he sets up. He's pretty neutral with his attachment. His right and left hand are pretty solid. He's very well balanced starting out. Again, I have seen that he is wearing Hokas, but that aside, and then I kind of go into this. I already know he's got a little bit of a thin, maybe a heavy contact issue. All right, so that's number one as far as contact. We already talked about that. Curvature, that block, and the overdraw, that's interrelated, okay? So this is kind of how we're gonna tackle it now. I took some video. You guys obviously did not get to see him face on over here. So with the mid iron, he's got a little bit of shift off the ball, which is totally fine, especially for a driver, and a pressure shift. However, with an iron, him shifting off the ball just a couple of inches, he goes off the ball, stays there, drops it under, and then has so much pressure back, and then his path goes out to the right considerably. So he's got to use his hands. So just like what he said, if he's under the gun, he's playing a PAT, he's going to try to stay on top of it and then hold off the face as much as he possibly can. That's great to understand what you need to do in the thick of competition, but I, as the instructor, would like to have him work where he's a little bit more unencumbered, right? I don't want to teach him Band-Aids, okay? So what I would show him basically here, the setup's pretty clean, you got your head kind of. Ball position's a pinch back, but that's okay, so let's see.
So see this wind up is like perfect for a driver. It's like you have shifted, you've pivoted nicely over here, but the problem that comes is as you're shifting down, which is kind of nice. You see how your head stays back over your right knee, stays back, and what happens is you stay underneath here. Pressure is too far back, so your low point is back, and then path gets a little bit off to the right. So you can see when your head kind of goes down right there. Yeah. Path is a little severe to the right. So there's two things that I would do. And the first is making sure that his trail hand grip matches his release pattern. Currently, he stays back a little bit. His path gets up too far to the right. Ball position is a little bit far back. If we're definitely trying to calm the draw. I mean, it's like what Ed was talking about earlier, is if you've got more of a beginner, you'd love to see that right to left. You'd love to see the draw. But if you have more of an accomplished player who's playing under the gun, he has to know how to kind of calm down that draw, okay? So go ahead and set up, and I'd go over, like I said, if this is just he and I, we're talking a little bit more about the video, okay? So as you naturally go up to the top, excellent here, and then we come back down here, and then here. Okay, so what I see you doing is when you're starting down, your head sinks down this way and falls back. So what happens is your pressure stays back, and then your path also goes out to the right. So what we need to be doing, I know you said that you're trying to feel like the handle is forward, but I want you to feel that, go ahead, wait, right. I want you to feel when you release this way, that your head and upper chest can also release, right? So you're gonna be striking this way, and then releasing the upper chest with the arm. I don't want you to feel like you're trying to hold off here. Yeah. So go ahead and take it up one more time. Coming down. You're going to be staying a little bit flat. So this excessive lateral move where you dip under, so the lower body goes first, the upper axis falls back. And because you're a pretty good athlete, you can kind of time out with your hands. But when you're under the gun, that's really hard to kind of handle. And then I have the same software on my phone. If I'm kind of moving around, I'll usually take a couple with the phone. He moved it more middle. It was a little bit back. And that could also contribute to the shifting off the ball if I have it back, trying to pivot behind it. Okay, so at this point in the lesson, I've determined exactly what I'm going to isolate and what I'm going to go at. Okay, and like I said, since you guys are back here and you can't see the face on, he's got a really, really good golf swing. But I'll be honest with you guys, and just so he can learn, he's leaving a lot on the table with the fact that he shifts back here, and probably at some point, just like all of us, keep your head behind the ball, stay behind it, release it, that type of thing. So what's happening with him is he shifts up here almost like it's a driver, keeps his head back, so all of his pressure is staying back, right? And that's contributing to hitting behind it, and thin and fat are roughly the same. But in this case, he's hitting behind it. So I'm deciding to use the last 15 to 20 minutes on, okay, this is together what we're attacking. And that's where the teaching now turns into the coaching part of the feel. So with him, what he's doing is he's back here and he's getting caught on that back foot. You can even see on the good ones. You can see his pelvis is up like this. He's curled and he's tucked under even on the good ones. Okay? So this is the coolest part. This everyone can afford a smash bag, right? So he's going this way, right? So his upper center is falling back and he's getting tucked under. I want him to feel more on top of the ball, and I also want him to feel like he's got pressure in that lead side. So I'm going to start with as little information as possible to see if he can pick up on the movement. And then we start adding things like, in addition to the smash bag, because it's quite clear that every single one of his shots, his upper axis is tilting back. So his low point is going to be behind where he wants it, okay? So, just normally hit the bag. Okay, so you're typically back here.
There's a spot for training aids used.
We want
Make sure you put impact
your
back.
center. I want you to feel like your upper center, let's say your sternum and your belt buckle is more lined up at impact. So for you, it's going to feel a little bit more like there's a shift this way. Because right now, when you move down, your upper axis is tilting back. And then you have to throw the hands and arms. And again, he probably should have passed his PAT first time, a couple of 75s. But with the upper axis, when it tilts this way, and it's all hands and arms, it's tough. So we talked about impact. What I would also have him do before I get into his head and how the movement should feel, I want him to post up this way and finish. So I want you to work on post-impact, finishing, strike, and then finish. So it's chin, sternum, belt buckle, ankle. You're here. We're getting away from that. So that's where I'm going to stay for the rest of the lesson. And I'm also not looking for magic. I need for him to be on the same page, and then we can see where it goes. Okay, good. Do it again. All right. So I like how that's all aligned right there. I still think we can get a little bit more pressure in this lead side. So more here. You can kind of see if I were to take you back. There's a feel that I like midway down for people that I feel like sag too much and get under it, is taking it down to about belt line right here and then feel like you can box jump. So I like to get that feel when somebody's getting a little too lateral and a little too ducked under. Okay, so to have you, before you hit the next ball, have you go up and then bring it down to right around at your waist. Okay, so right in here. Now, do you feel like you're pretty balanced at that position right there? You don't feel like kind of the norm, which is that sag under. Okay, so you're right here. You're ready to... And that's one piece that he had told me from a previous lesson, that he was trying to get his hands out. I don't love that, because I don't think it's in conjunction with what we're trying to adjust. So go up one more time and down to your pocket here. So we're gonna go from here, impact, that's forward, right here. His lower center peels backward. So he comes down here, his next movement into impact is like that. So especially for an iron, I need to be into that lead side. If I have my hips that kind of rotate out, I'm in trouble, and I'm going to create that big block again. Okay, so go ahead and take practice one to the top. Down to here. There. And then we're pressing forward. That way. Okay, so as far as what we've looked at, as far as the video is concerned, I'm not going any more there. We're stopping there. But what he has a tough time doing, and I don't think it's all the hokas, is his lower body has a habit of spinning back. So I would have him do step drills where he gets used to pressing into this lead side. You start this way, right? Left foot behind the right. And then I step this way, this way. So your left foot behind the right. Yep. You're gonna swing it forward. And then as you swing back, this is gonna replace. And then a regular. Yep. So a little bit late. With the step. With the step. Yep. Okay, and then you're gonna swing through. Still a hair late, which I'm not surprised. I expect that because we already see in his full swing how he transfers weight and how he doesn't get to the lead side. There you go. Good. Good. So keep going, because the one thing that I know, regardless of ball flight, is if we can get him to feel balance and finishing forward, that's a huge, huge victory. Good. Because we know, if you remember watching him hit balls about 30 minutes ago, that even on his good ones, he was still falling back out of it. So he was kind of peeling back. Yeah. So if I were to say, what does that feel like? How is it different than the normal feel?
I feel like I'm getting more square to the target when I'm coming through. Like,
So when I say isolate, as I told you, I decided 15 minutes ago, he needs to get this. He needs his chin, his sternum, and his belt buckle to pass through this way. So it's a little bit of a lateral motion here. He doesn't get there. He needs to get there to clean up the contact miss. So when people say, oh yeah, you got to fix ball flight, agreed, you definitely do. But he has to understand the plan. He has to understand what he's adjusting. And then, like I said, we keep it really, really simple. Because when I started instructing, my brain was like, fix the last shot that was hit. Fix that, fix it. And it's just like, again, we have the 45 minutes. Even if he doesn't get it right away, we are coming up with our plan and then figuring out how that's going to work. Just like Ed said, a golfer spends all this time on their own. They're spending about the cap with us. So we need to figure out what the plan is next. I have a daughter that does gymnastics. In this hour, I am not trying to land and have a perfect 10 for the judges. I used to do that. I used to crush lessons. And then they come back and they go, hey, coach, I hit it perfect with you, but I couldn't, I was terrible after. I couldn't have played worse. Well, we never went over the plan. I was worried about crushing and getting a 10 out of 10 on this lesson rather than going through it together, coming up, formulating a plan, having him do stuff at home, teaching him how to practice in between the time that we're going to get together. And then, as Ed said, I tell him, look, give me 48 hours and email me back what's working, what questions you still have, and what you need or what you think hasn't been answered to this point. Because I know how I want him to move, but he needs time to figure that out. He's a good player. He's a low handicapper. You're probably, what, a 2, 2.5?
3 or 4.
Okay, so 3 or 4. And I think if we clean up the movement and the ball striking with better movement, he could be much better, right? But I don't know how long that's going to take. Could be the end of the lesson, could be in 3 days, could be in 3 more sessions. But my job is to provide a very, very clear roadmap for him. Because now he's got to go work. He's got to go do the work. He's got to do the drills. He has to stay in line, because what happens is when we're here, when you guys are given a lesson, they're pretty comfortable, right? And then as soon as you go away and then they feel a little bit, oh my gosh, you're questioning, they're just going to go back to what they used to do, right? We're putting together. So I'd wrap up basically, look, you got a great golf swing. We're trying to clean up the big pull and the thin. And that's happening because his upper center gets tucked under and he moves back, okay? So that's the reason why it's happening. Now, in correcting it, we have step drills that he can do. He already says he's pretty good at punching the ball, and in order to punch and hit the ball well, you got to move forward and stay more on top of it, right? So he's going to be working on that. I would love for him to work on that and then come see me in another week, week and a half, or depending on what his time is, his budget is, and the next time that he's getting together as far as his PAT or his tournament. Because my lessons are very, very different depending on what you have. Like if you're going on your buddy's trip or you're going somewhere, a little something kind of tune you up. If you say, hey, look, I got my high school season in 3 months. I want to go under the hood and go for a deep dive. We can slow down a little bit. But your job is to connect with the person, create the roadmap, and then see where it goes within the time. Okay? So when my session is over and I have time, either at the end of the day or at the end of the session, I'll make notes of what I think it went well, what seemed to click, what didn't work. Hey, I kept saying I wanted the chin, the sternum, the belt buckle to move over here. Well, if that's not connecting, then I've got to be aware of what else I'm going to adjust. Do you have a question?
Yeah. Identifying when a player does not work well with the plan, and if you ever dumped your plan to kind of make a revisement.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying dumped. I'll say pivot. Okay. So a lot of times, for instance, I'll give you an example. I gave a guy a number of lessons years and years ago, and he said, all I want to do is hit a draw. All I want to, and I know the ball flight laws. I know what it takes. And we're in our 3rd lesson, and everything else, his putting's good, his chipping's good. And then he goes, you know what? If it wasn't for that Swiss doctor when I was 9 years old and I broke my forearm and I can't rotate it this way, I was just like, that doesn't, when I say, do you have any injuries? A lot of times if people have an injury and they're not going to remember it, but there are specifics that then come out that I can alter. And again, I don't do anything. If I'm like ready to dump the plan, all of a sudden he's just like, yeah, you keep talking about my right side, but I played ultimate frisbee for 3 years. I'm a lead side guy. Okay, I'm taking notes too. I'm learning too. I'm using this time as I'm collecting information. But like I said, I don't do anything drastic and go like, hey, really sorry you hit 3 in a row fat. We're dumping this plan. We're going to try something else. Just remember, even though inside of your mind and your body might be fluttering, like you really want to get this right, you really want to do a good job. Yeah, it was cool. I got to shadow a bunch of tour coaches at the Wyndham about 3 or 4 years ago, and I watched them all, and they were very, very calm, like ninjas. And then if their players said, hey, you see anything here, then they would be very calm in their response. Okay? It's really, really key. Now, that being said, if I've got somebody who's who's like from New York City, talks fast, walks fast, is really aggressive, I can raise it up, but I'm in charge. I'm in charge of the lesson. Okay? So that would be one of the biggest things that I would say to any type of new instructor. You got time. You got time. I remember my first lesson I ever get, I always helped all my buddies with their golf swing, so it was really easy for me to do that. But I'd never given a lesson. So I'm giving a lesson to a woman who's probably about a 13 handicap. 7 minutes in, I'm spent. 7 minutes in, I go, oh my God, where do I go from here? I don't know what I'm doing. I corrected her ball flight, but I've got 53 more minutes. What in the world am I doing? So this is the fun part about teaching. If you think about your best professors, your best teachers in high school, their styles, what they did, how they used their time, that's just as much of a golf lesson of connecting with the person. Is you've got this time, make it memorable. They're learning, we're going through the roadmap, but I'm gonna make some mistakes. I mean, it's definitely gonna happen. Like I said, I could uncover how he starts to move better. Or I could be like, hey dude, don't wear Hokas next time. Like wear your golf shoes, right? So that's literally where I go. I mean, that's just, if I'm honest and somewhat vulnerable during the lesson, then they also relax. But I also know what I'm doing, so if I do make a mistake, it's going to happen. The thing is, I love the fact that people have things like the PAT or making their school team. I love that. That gets my juices flowing. We've all been through it. We've all been through the PAT or all high school tryouts or all, like, no matter what's important to you, there's always going to be a little bit inside that's challenging to kind of get through. With him, we clean up the iron game, get him feeling a little bit more, have him own the swing and some of the adjustments. And then all of a sudden, and then like I said, he did mention driver yips. That's a mental note, right? We don't need to fix everything all at once.
Right.
So again, I'm taking mental notes and adding that in. Just like I said, what makes a good professor, what makes a good coach? Everybody's got their own different style of how you do it, but you have the ability to be yourself for an hour while you're connecting with a golfer and imparting your wisdom on helping them with their golf game. And then the other thing too is you want to see what kind of student you have. Did he email you 48 hours after? Does he come on time? Is he excited to play? Is he practicing? And if he's not, it's like, okay, like you can figure out, who you've got. And then, you might have the like, well, how important is the PAT to you if you're not putting in the time in the proper spots? Okay, good. That last one was really good. I liked how you were in balance and you were able to hold your finish. Do the same thing. Good. So with this drill, you can see we moved his low point probably fractionally, just a very small amount, right? And it's what we talked about, what I showed him on the video, right? And if all of a sudden he starts like hitting it really nice like this, like, we're gonna let him kind of build up, and then boom, we'll finish. Well, we kind of close down, talk about like how he's what we did, what he's going to do, how he's going to practice, and then how he's going to communicate with me. Because here's the deal. As Ed points out, we charge a lot of money per hour, okay? That's a lot of money. But we're also coaching, so we're available in off times. A lot of times with my students, I'll send them a little something on Instagram. I'll send them something and, hey, was thinking about you. I think this is what we're talking about. And then, so they communicate with me back and forth, not on the clock. Right? And then when they feel that you're connected and you're interested, then again, you're building the relationship, you're forging it. Any questions to kind of finish out? And what I would do is like if I see some success that I really like, I want them to start imprinting why it's good and what I like about it. So I really like how he's working about getting forward and about transferring forward. And the biggest thing for any tournament player, so it's not like it's glamorous, but the better we can raise the floor, the better he's going to be. So the fewer 5s and 6s he has on the front and more 7s and 8s, he's going to shoot low 70s, 75, no problem. I mean, like almost guaranteed. So that's what we're really trying to clean up. We're trying to clean up the miss. What everybody thinks here is like I want him to understand how to control the miss just as well as I want him to be able to, line everything up and pure it. So especially for a tournament player, the better you are at kind of raising the low end and the better they putt and chip, you'll have a student for life. Cool. And the last thing is I'm very, very careful how I put the students as far as the time. I like to build in 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that when we're done, we go over it. Think about it if you were taking a lesson and I said, hey, you know what, I'm late to my next one, but you did a great job. And I make sure at the end that it's closed, right? There's eye contact. I'm not, even if I'm 7 minutes behind or I'm 5 minutes behind, he has to know that we're connected and that what we're talking about is important. And then like, okay, great, this is how it's going to go. Fantastic, great seeing you. Keep working on it. We'll talk soon. Okay, and then I move on. You can't charge somebody even $5 and do the, hey, sorry, I'm running late. I got to get to my next lesson. Like, how's that going to make you feel? So you've got to be able to use some of your own skills on, well, what would it be like if I was taking the lesson? And, he got to me 5 minutes late, and he gave me an extra 5 or 10 minutes. He didn't make it feel like I was his Uber driver or a cabbie. That the connection was important. Because then he feels better about reaching out to me. Because a lot of times people be like, oh, well, it's not during the hour that I'm with this coach. I want him to be able to reach out.
Okay, so I just got done editing and reviewing the entire video, and the fact that I was able to experience a moment like that at Duke is something that I just wanted to cherish, something that I wanted to savor, because I'm going to be literally documenting every step of the way. And the fact that this was the first moment, this was the first step in this journey is something that means a lot to me. Teaching and instruction, they speak the most to me, and the fact that I was able to just gain such valuable and potent information that I'll be able to take with me for the rest of my career is something that I don't take for granted. I strongly believe in the structure that teaching and instruction is being taught in this way, in this manner, because it's important to not only have this structure like that in a lesson, but being able to develop an actual personable relationship with your student. And it's something that really matters the most to me already. So the fact that I was just able to get some reassurance from that and just see it firsthand is something that, again, means the most to me. On top of that, just the books that Mr. Ed allowed me to borrow is something that I'm truly thankful for. And I just give God all the glory. Like, I give him all the glory, y'all. The fact that he just put me in this environment, I was able to experience something that I will take with me for the rest of my life. And the biggest hope that I have from this channel is that I'm able to inspire those to chase their dreams. Go ahead and take that step, y'all. Take that dive, take the leap. Do it now, because if not now, then when? And I promise you, I understand. I battle it on a daily basis. The unknowns, the uncertainties, the doubts, that's going to happen. That's going to be natural. But I think what I'm genuinely learning is having God at the forefront of it all, allowing him to lead the way, is something that is truly important. Having an active and intentional relationship with him and not making it really transactional, getting to know him. And I promise y'all, like, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be on here saying I'm perfect. I fall short every day, but that's the next layer of it all. Just leading the journey with grace, especially for yourself, in terms of knowing that you're going to make mistakes. And I was actually reading this devotion back in December, and one of the excerpts, it was like, often we want to conquer the world for the Lord, and that's a fantastic goal to have, but the reality is God's word teaches us to walk, because walking is achievable and it ensures every day we make progress. And that's the next layer in all of this, giving yourself the grace, which leads to the understanding that showing up for God daily leads to monumental steps being taken over time, because those daily deposits are ultimately what add up over time, and that goes the same way for your dreams.